Now we'll talk about rolling motion. Okay, pure rolling or rolling without slipping. Now look here. Consider this object which is rolling. Now rolling will be a combination of translation motion plus rotational motion, because as the object is moving, it is also rotating about its axis as well as it is moving in the further direction. Okay. Now look here, this is the object that is rolling. Now while rolling, VCM is the center of mass of this object, because as the object is rolling, its center of mass will move in a straight line. Rest all the particles will move like this, but its center of mass will follow a straight path. And let the velocity of the center of mass be VCM, and let omega will be the angular velocity of the object. Its axis will be what? Axis will pass through its center like this. Fine. Okay. Now let us find out the relation between the velocity of center of mass and the angular velocity of the object. Okay. Now since it is a pure rolling, let us see where the object will be after it completes one rotation. See, let us say that A is the point marked on the object. That point right now is at the bottom or in contact with the surface. Now when it performs one rotation, A will be back on the surface, or A should be back on the surface because it was initially at the surface. So while performing one complete rotation, A will be back on the surface. Okay. Now in one rotation, how much will be this distance? One rotation, that means the object would have moved 2 pi r distance, because A has completed one rotation, and one rotation will be nothing but this distance will be nothing but 2 pi r. Okay? So basically it is a circumference of this circular path, right? That is being traced over here. Getting this? Okay, fine. So this distance is 2 pi r. Fine. Now what is omega? Omega can be written as theta upon t. So if I take 2 pi radians, the time taken will be what the time period, that is capital T. So omega will be 2 pi and corresponding t is capital T we have taken, right? Okay. In that time, the translation distance is how much? 2 pi r. So VCM can be written as what? Distance upon time. How much is the distance? It is 2 pi r. Upon time will be the same time, capital T, right? Okay, so 2 pi r upon t. Now 2 pi upon t is nothing but angular velocity omega. So VCM is nothing but omega into r. So the relation between velocity of center of mass and the angular velocity of the object will be omega into r. Fine? Okay, now I hope you have understood this. Now let us come to kinetic energy of rolling body. So it will be the addition of translation kinetic energy and rotational kinetic energy. So it is translation kinetic energy plus rotational kinetic energy. Translation kinetic energy, we know it will be given by half m v square. V is the velocity of center of mass, plus rotational kinetic energy is half I omega square. Now we know that I can be written as mk square, where k is the radius of gyration of the body, and velocity of center of mass is nothing but r omega, as we have already seen. So instead of I, we will put mk square. Instead of VCM, we will put r omega, or instead of omega square, we will have what? V square upon r square. Velocity of center of mass square upon r square. So over here, half mv square is constant, that will be taken out. Inside the bracket we have 1 plus a square upon r square. So this gives us nothing but the total kinetic energy of rolling body. Okay? So I hope you have understood this. So just write down this thing: rolling motion, pure rolling. over here you can write down it is the combination of translation motion and rotational motion, and then you can draw this diagram for you to understand how do we get VCM is equal to omega r. And afterwards you mention kinetic energy of rolling body, and then draw this diagram, and then write down consider a body such as disc, cylinder or sphere having mass m, capital M, and radius r, capital R. This body is rolling, in bracket write down pure rolling, on a surface as shown. Below that write down its total kinetic energy will be equal to translation kinetic energy plus rotational kinetic energy. Okay? And afterwards you write from here to here. Fine? Okay, now after this we'll talk about rolling motion on an inclined plane. Okay? Alright, now we'll study rolling motion on an inclined plane. Okay? We'll find out its linear acceleration and the final velocity as it comes down the incline. Okay? Okay, fine. Now I have shown this incline. The length of the incline is S. The angle of inclination is theta. The height where the object is initially kept from the bottom is H. Fine? Okay. Now this object can be any thing such as sphere, solid or hollow, cylinder, solid or hollow, disc or a ring. Fine. So they will have certain radius and certain mass. Okay. So initially the object is kept over here, and then it is left. So initially the initial linear velocity of the object is 0, so u is equal to 0. Its angular velocity is also 0. As the object comes down, it rolls and comes down. Fine. As the object comes down, it rolls and come down. This happens because this surface is not assumed to be smooth. It is a pretty rough surface for the pure rolling to take place. Because if the surface would have been smooth, if there would have been no friction between the object and this surface, then this object would have skid or slipped down. Fine? This object would have not rolled down, but it would have simply slipped down. In that case, there won't be any angular velocity of the object. It will always remain 0. Okay? But since there is since it is a rough surface, there is a frictional force acting on the object that makes the angular acceleration. Okay? Now how? Look at this diagram. I have shown this object on this plane. Now these are the forces acting on the object. Fine. So the gravitational force is mg, shown from its center of gravity or center of mass. Now I have resolved this force into two forces, one perpendicular to the incline, one along the incline. So if this is theta, by geometry easily you can show that this is theta. So this component is mg cos theta, this component is mg sin theta. Then there is a normal reaction by the incline on the object in this direction, perpendicular to the incline, n. The magnitude of n will be equal to mg cos theta, so they will cancel each other. Fine. So over here we are left with mg sin theta, and this is the frictional force that will act on this object. It is in this direction. Now this frictional force is static force of friction. Why? Because since this is a pure rolling, and hence the point that is in contact with the surface, its instantaneous velocity is always 0. Fine. So the same point does not skid on the surface. The same point does not skid on the surface. Otherwise it would have been kinetic friction. Are you getting this? Okay. And hence this is the static friction force. that will act in this direction as the object is coming down. Fine? Okay. Now in this direction, there are two forces, one mg sin theta and other fs. Obviously mg sin theta is greater than fs. So, and hence we will have acceleration in this direction, linear acceleration. Okay. So you can get the equation that mg sin theta minus fs is equal to m into a. In that way we can get the linear acceleration a. Okay. Now what about the angular acceleration? We know for angular acceleration, torque is essential. Now which force provides the torque? This force cannot provide the torque. Why? Because this is the axis of rotation, right? And this force is passing through the axis of rotation. For torque, we require force into perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. So there is no perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation, or the perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation is 0, and hence this force does not cause any torque on the object. So which force causes the torque on the object? It is the frictional force that causes torque on the object, because this is the axis of rotation, this is the frictional force. The perpendicular distance is r, the radius of the object. So Fs into r will give us the torque, and torque is equal to I into alpha. Okay? And that causes angular acceleration. So it is because of this frictional force directed in this direction, this object is having angular acceleration as it is coming down, and hence I have shown the angular acceleration as alpha. Okay? Now solving all the equations that we discussed, we can find out the acceleration A, but we will not go according to this method. We will go according to some different method. Okay, that we will discuss over here. So I hope you have understood what is going on over here. Okay, so once again the object is over here. Initially both the velocities are 0. Initially the linear velocity is also 0, the angular velocity is also 0. But as we leave the object starts rolling down. Its linear velocity increases because there is a net force in this direction. So there is a linear acceleration in this direction. Its angular velocity also increases. Why? Because there is a torque acting on the object. So initially both of them are 0, but as the object comes down, both the linear velocity as well as angular velocity goes on increasing. Okay? As it comes down, we will have some final linear velocity and final angular velocity. Okay? Both the velocities are increasing, and there is some final linear velocity and final angular velocity at this point. Fine. Now over here it has both the velocities, linear as well as angular. Okay, and hence the energy associated over here will be translation kinetic energy plus rotational kinetic energy. Both kind of energies are associated with the object over here. Now who has provided that energy? The potential energy at top has been converted to the total amount of energy at the bottom. Okay? Over here we have only one kind of energy, that is potential energy, that is mgh. Over here that energy has been converted to, some part of that energy is now with translation kinetic energy, some part of energy is now with rotational kinetic energy. Okay? So we are going to make use of the law of conservation of energy. Energy at top, total energy at top is equal to total energy at bottom. Right? Now you will say that there is a frictional force acting on the object. So doesn't that consume any energy? How can we use conservation of energy? Total energy at top is equal to total energy at bottom when there is a frictional force. But remember, this is not a kinetic friction, this is static friction, and hence it will not consume any energy. Okay? Because if as we have just discussed, if the object is rolling and coming down, it is not slipping. If it would have been slipping, the friction force would have been kinetic. In that case, the object would have rubbed against the incline, and hence the incline and the object would have become little hot. That would have consumed some energy. Fine. So since it is a static friction, not kinetic friction, and hence there is no loss of energy in this motion. Okay, and hence we can use the conservation of energy. Okay, yeah. Now look here, the same expression I have written over here. E denotes the total mechanical energy at top is equal to total mechanical energy at bottom. At top there is no kinetic energy, neither translation nor rotational, because the object is at rest and not rotating as well, and hence the only energy is the potential energy. Taking this as the datum. Okay, so mgh is the total energy at top. Now at exactly this point, I am saying that the linear velocity is v, angular velocity is omega, and hence at bottom the energy will be half mv square linear kinetic energy, translation kinetic energy, plus half I omega square rotational kinetic energy. Okay, its potential energy over here is 0 because we are saying that this is the datum or reference line. Okay, fine. So I will just solve it further. Okay, over here I can be written as mk square. Okay, what is I? I can be written as mk square, that we have studied, where k is the radius of gyration. Okay, now omega will be what? V upon r. Omega is equal to V upon R because it is a pure rolling. Okay, that we have studied previously. How is the relation between omega and V? So instead of I have written mk square. Instead of omega square we will get V square upon R square, and hence half mv square will be common in both the terms. So that is taken out. In the bracket we have 1 plus what will be left here? It will be k square upon r square. Okay, because I will become what? Mk square. Omega square will be v square upon r square. So out of that half mv square has come out. Left is what? K square upon r square. Okay, fine. Now from this equation, m will get cancelled. 2 will go over here, become 2gh. This will come in the denominator, 1 plus k square upon r square. Taking square root on both sides, we will get the velocity. This velocity. That will be 2gh upon square root of 1 plus k square upon r square. Okay? Okay, now look here. I have made a mistake over here. The square root sign should be the whole. Right? So v comes out to be equal to what? Square root of 2gh upon 1 plus k square upon r square. Okay. So this is the final velocity that we have got. So we want what? The linear acceleration. Okay? Yes. Now to get the linear acceleration, we have the relation v square is equal to u square plus 2as. Getting this? Okay. Now u is equal to what? U is equal to 0. So this term will become 0. A will become what? Equal to v square upon twice s, where s is the length of that incline. Okay. So this is whose linear acceleration? It is the linear acceleration of the center of mass of the object. Okay. Because rest all the points on the object will have a motion like this, circular as well as translation. But it is only the center of mass that will go in a straight line downwards. So you can say that this is the acceleration of the center of mass. Okay. So A is equal to v square upon twice s. Okay. So v square is nothing but we have to take square of this term, so that it becomes 2gh upon 1 plus k square upon r square. 2gh upon 1 plus k square upon r square. What we have left here? 2s. So I have written 2s over here. 2 will get cancelled. Now in this figure, sine of theta is what? Opposite upon hypotenuse. So opposite upon hypotenuse. So s becomes h upon sine theta. So instead of s, I can write h upon sine theta. So h and h will get cancelled. 2 and 2 will get cancelled. Since sine theta was in the denominator, it will go in the numerator over here. So what we will have? A is equal to g sine theta upon 1 plus k square upon r square. Okay? So this is the formula for the linear acceleration, and this is the formula for the final velocity at the bottom. Okay, so for different objects we have different radius of gyration. And for disk it is different, for ring it is different, for sphere it is different. So they will have different linear accelerations. Okay, for different objects we have different radius of gyration, so they will have different linear accelerations, and their final velocities will be also correspondingly different. So it depends on the radius of gyration and the radius of the objects. Getting this? Okay, so I hope you have understood this thing. So just put the heading: rolling motion on an inclined plane. Okay. Now this part you can draw this part somewhere else in your notebook. You are not supposed to draw this. Okay, so you can say that this is for your understanding. You can draw it somewhere else or in the margin. Okay, so put the heading: rolling motion on an inclined plane. Draw this diagram. Then write down: consider an object such as ring, disc, cylinder or sphere rolling on an inclined plane as shown. S is the length of the incline, theta is the angle of the incline. The object is kept at the object is kept at an height h. The object is kept at a height h on the incline. Fine. Then write down: the total energy at top is equal to the total energy at bottom. Fine. And then you mention from this thing up till here. Okay. Fine. So I hope you have understood about this derivation. Okay, now this is the table for the linear acceleration and the final velocity for different objects that were placed on the incline. So over here I have written about different objects. Here it is the final velocity, square root of 2g upon 1 plus k square upon r square. This is the linear acceleration, g sin theta upon 1 plus k square upon r square. Okay. So for ring, disc, so see, ring or hollow cylinder, the moment of inertia will be r is equal to mr square. Disc or solid cylinder will have the same moment of inertia, mr square by 2. Solid sphere will have 2 by 5 mr square, and hollow sphere will have 2 by 3 mr square. Fine. So look here, like how to remember now to fill up the table so that you can know the formulas for everything. Now see, if we write I as n mr square, now n can have any value. For over here n will be 1, n mr square, right? So for ring or hollow cylinder n will be 1. Over here n will be what? N will be 1 by 2. Over here n will be what? 2 by 5. N will be over here 2 by 3. Now see, what is the importance of this n? Now I can be written as mk square, so mm will get cancelled. Now n will be nothing but equal to k square upon r square. So this term k square upon r square is nothing but n. Okay. Now in this case n was 1, so put k square upon r square as 1, you will get this result. In this case n is 1 by 2, k square upon r square, put 1 by 2. In this case n will be 2 by 5. Similarly in this case n will be 2 by 3. So in this way you can remember the each and every formula, but of course you should remember this as well as this formula. Even if you don't remember, it is very easy to derive it as we have just discussed. But remembering the formulas are essential because that saves your time in exam. Okay? Okay.